Talk about a big change up in our weather pattern already as we start this work week. Hey everyone, I'm Darrell Wenninger, the meteorologist at Central Oregon Daily News, and we are about to do a deep dive into your most reliable forecast. Quick look across the high desert, and we see a couple of different things. First off, clouds over the Cascades. Some of those are bringing some flurries to the mountains already. Second off, through the rest of Central Oregon, we have a mixture of sunshine and cloud cover. Now today has already been much cooler than it was 24 hours ago, and going forward we're expecting a few more changes, like it's going to be even more chilly through the day tomorrow. Cold nights, chilly days. We get back into that rhythm shortly. By Wednesday and Thursday we start warming back up. Now we'll still have some rain and snow showers expected by then, but even bigger changes are expected as we wrap up this work week and go to the weekend. So let's go ahead, lay it all out for you, take a look at what's been happening, the changes we've already gone through, and what changes are expected next, how those changes are really going to impact our next couple of days, really through this entire week. So starting off for this Monday, March the 9th, we do have a mixture of sunshine and clouds. Now there have been a couple of smoke plumes out there. Most of these are prescribed burns, nothing really that we're focusing on when it comes to that. However, some periods of reduced air quality are going to be possible. The good news is that this unsettled weather pattern, it's going to stir up the air enough to where that's not really our major concern. Now, even when we look at our winter storm impacts through the next 3 days, there are going to be some minor to moderate impacts through the passes, but overall it's not going to be too bad. If you're headed down to Medford or going through Willamette Pass, limited impacts, but going through San Am and Government Camp, that's where we have the minor to moderate impacts for our weather pattern through the next couple of days. Meanwhile, when we come to the local cameras through Central Oregon, at the surface, looking at the ground, at the roads, we do see some shadows. That's indicative of those in and out clouds that I was talking about. What we don't see is any wet roads just yet. Now, when we move it up and go into the higher elevations, we mostly have dry roads, except for where there has been a little bit of melting. Some of the snow off the side of the road continues to melt. But going forward through the next couple of days, this is where we're looking at the shift in our weather pattern, and that's because the jet stream is going to be pushing to the south and moving still west to east, but it's nudging to the south, so that way it's moving right over Central Oregon, and that's going to bring more mountain snow, in and out clouds, stronger winds, and some rain and snow showers to the lower elevations. Notice none of these weak fronts are going to be strong enough to bring a huge shift to our weather pattern. However, each one of them adds up, and the cumulative effect of all of these pushing through the Pacific Northwest means heavy mountain snow is expected, with some rain and snow showers in our lower elevations and winds becoming breezy. Definitely some good news, because through today most of the Cascades have been losing a little bit of snow, bringing it to 44 inches at Bachelor and 17 inches at Hoodoo. Meanwhile, tonight we're not looking at much new. In fact, when it comes to fresh snow, 1 to 2 inches maybe. The further north you get, the more snow is expected with this next wave of moisture. And even through the day tomorrow, we're looking at 20s for highs, and so that means it is still going to be chilly. However, it will be breezy, especially at elevation. At the lower elevations, wind's still getting breezy, but for the most part, we only have a pair of winter weather advisories in effect, mostly for the west slopes of the Cascades, but it also includes Hood. Now, that means Government Camp. That means the passes, San Am and Government Camp. San Am Pass and Government Camp are looking at the potential of some accumulating snow through the Cascades, and this goes until 5 p.m. Wednesday. So through the next couple of days, we're still going to be looking at that mountain snow, and I wouldn't be surprised if this got pushed back a little bit more to more time. And already we have snow in those areas from right around the northern county line of Jefferson County all the way north through the Cascades of Northern Oregon and all of the Cascades of Washington. And when we look at the enhanced satellite imagery, we were just looking at a blend of visible and infrared satellite imagery. Now it's just infrared imagery, and we have an enhancement to really pull out those tall clouds. So between Billings and Boise, that stripe of red that you see there, that is tall cloud cover. Now over Central Oregon, not too tall, and we even have some breaks in the clouds. Now this isn't going to be the main force of our cold front pushing through our systems. It isn't expected here tonight. This is just the onset of it, and really it started last night with a cold front that was dry but brought that huge dip in temperatures. Now when we look at this, you do see those white lines. Those are what we call isobars, equal or constant lines of pressure, and where they're tightly stacked up like over Central Oregon, and winds are breezy. And when you get more of them together, the stronger the winds. Now, when it comes to water vapor, there is a huge plume of moisture coming right over Central Oregon from the Pacific Ocean. Notice it's not tropical or subtropical moisture. It's just coming from the Pacific Ocean right into Central Oregon. That's going to be changing up here during the next couple of days as well. And when we go ahead and focus on relative humidity, not too bad, moderate to dry across the high desert. Now, let's talk about some of those changes we've already been having. The last 24 hours, 40s, 50s, and 60s. It's always when we're cooling down, that's always a tough graphic to show. Let's show what's actually happened. Right now, we are in the 40s with a few 30s on the map, and for today, there were a couple spots that got close to 50 degrees. Now, this actually puts us much cooler than we were 24 hours ago. In fact, when we go ahead and look at that temperature change, we're running between 12 and 18 degrees cooler than it was on Sunday. Most of Central Oregon was in the 60s today. Most of Central Oregon in the 40s. By tomorrow, most of us in the 40s after bottoming out in the 20s with a few teens. So it is chilly. Another cold night is expected, and by tomorrow we see a couple more changes to the weather pattern. In fact, let's just look at the changes that are expected. Now, a modest warming trend is expected starting Wednesday. More showers are in the forecast, and it's going to be breezy for many of us. So through Tuesday, we're looking at a freezing start with a few slick roads possible where we catch some of those snow showers, and some rain and snow showers aren't out of the question during the day. Highs mostly in the 40s, and notice that we're starting to get some of that snow in the mountains. That continues through Wednesday and even Thursday. Now, by Wednesday, we're in the warm sector of our next system. We see a transition from a cold front to a warm front up here, and that it really sets us up for bump in temperatures, really from the 40s to the 50s, and we keep those 50s through Thursday. Notice all of that activity going through Central Oregon. No fronts are actually pushing through the high desert, and so we're looking at more systems coming and going across the high desert, but every time we get a warm front passing through, we get another bump in temperature. So under the influence of this active weather pattern, we are looking at more mountain snow, a little bit of rain in the lower elevations, but ultimately we are getting a gradual warming trend after dipping a little bit more for tomorrow with highs in the 40s. We're back into the 50s, then to either side of 60 degrees before another weak system, but later on in the weekend, we're looking at an even bigger jump in temperature, so back to very pleasant. So when it comes to our forecast model, it actually shows that we have snow through the Cascades tonight. And that's going to be pretty persistent. Look at the rest of Central Oregon. Periods of clearing are expected, winds getting breezy at times, and those snow levels are just going to be up and down, almost like a roller coaster for snow levels, so that we're looking at times of snow showers, times of rain showers, times of a wintry mix. And so in the lower elevations, I'm not expecting too much to stick. However, in the mountains, we are looking at accumulating snow. By Wednesday, snow levels bump up a little bit more, wintry mix at elevation. And that means some melting is going to be possible up there. And then by Thursday and Friday, it's mostly rain, not just through Central Oregon, but most of the Pacific Northwest. Most of the Cascades and getting up through the rest of the Pacific Northwest is looking at a lot of rain, but there will be some wintry mix in Washington as well as in Idaho, as well as some snow continuing there. But when it comes to Central Oregon, that's where we're looking at the transition from snow and a wintry mix to back up to rain, even in the highest elevations, is wrapping up the work we can go into the weekend. So between now and 7 a.m. Tuesday, we are looking at getting some snow in the mountains, and then that just continues to accumulate through the next couple of days with rain in the lower elevations even as we go to the weekend. Just one more forecast model, just pretty much the same thing, where the snow stays in the mountains. There will be some snow showers in the lower elevations, just not much actually sticking. By the time we get through the weekend, we're looking at 12 plus inches through the Cascades, but also that's about the time we start to see the snow levels picking up Friday, Saturday, Sunday, to where we're looking at more rain in the highest elevations as well. Now, winds today have been a little gusty for many of us. Those gusts between 15 and 26 miles per hour across the high desert, and actual wind speeds have been 10 to 16 miles per hour here in the last 30 minutes or so. So we're right now in the breezy part of the day. Remember, with this graphic, everything to the left of that white line, that now line, is our observed winds, everything to the right is our forecast. So mostly winds have been out of the north and swinging around to the northwest now. It is getting breezy. And through tonight, especially after sunset, which now is at 7:04 p.m. because we sprung forward just a couple nights ago. But what we will start to have tapering winds tonight. By tomorrow, it gets breezy again. Maybe even a little more gusty at times. But look at Wednesday. Wednesday is when stronger winds are expected. That's when we're in the warm sector of that next system, and that's when we're looking at bump in temperature. So for tonight, cold, 20s, few teens possible. Periods of clearing, some AM snow showers. By Tuesday, a few AM slick roads. Temperatures do not go very far. 40s with a few 30s, and then the warming trend begins. Winds get gusty Wednesday and Thursday. We go from mountain snow and rain in the lower elevations or wintry mix in the lower elevations to showers for most, even through the Cascades. And then by Saturday and Sunday, look at that. We get a dip in temperature Saturday with another weak front. By Sunday, 61. By Monday, 67. No, that is not a typo. It looks like it's going to be very pleasant late in the 7-day planner. So your weather headlines for this Monday, March the 9th include a cooler pattern with mountain snow expected. Back-to-back weak systems will continue to impact the Pacific Northwest. Rain and snow showers are expected. It will be breezy, and we really start to see another shift in our weather pattern midweek, but we're staying in the unsettled weather pattern through most of the week, and it's not until the weekend that we really start to see some of those bigger changes. But as of right now, we do not have much at all in the way of precipitation, and actually some breaks in the cloud cover as well. It's not until you get up between Salem and Portland that you start to see showers, and then it's all the way up through the Olympic Peninsula, then the west slopes of the Cascades of Washington. But that is the latest in weather. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News. We'll have the latest headlines and your most reliable forecast. See you then.